What's going on, guys? Spencer Clays here. This is the roadmap to freedom and ultimate alignment within yourself. This video is going to be a little bit different than the ones in the past. Got my coffee here, and I'm just going to kind of rip on this topic that I've been kind of touching on for the last, couple weeks. And this is something that is probably one of the most important things that you can really dive into with yourself. So we're just going to dive into it. I wrote this out, just kind of spitballed, 1,000 words. So we'll kind of just get into it. So the point of this video and the reason why I kind of started it was originally going to be how to start with a home service business, how to make money, and how to get to $10,000, $20,000, $40,000 plus per month. But I realized that that's not necessarily everyone's path in life, and that's totally fine. We're obviously, this is a channel about growing home service businesses and all that stuff. And if that's you, awesome. This video is totally going to help you. If you are trying to quit your 9 to 5 and if you want to get starting doing your own thing, this video is going to be for you. If you want to start literally pretty much any business on the planet, this is going to be for you. So the first step to designing the life you want, because that's what we're doing here. We're casting out all the things that we don't like about our life, about our current situation, and we're getting into full alignment. And so what this really means, we are when we decide what we want, this is something that's, if you look at your journey, people are always trying to ask you, like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? All these things. They're trying to put labels on you. They're trying to put all this baggage and such that doesn't necessarily, like, for me, I never really know what I wanted to do. And I still don't really know. It's not a conscious thing, right? It's not something that you can just be like, oh, I want to do this. Because this shit changes so quickly. We think we want all these things. We think we want this. And oftentimes we get stuck in certain goals, like, oh, I want to make this much money per month. I want to do this or that. But then you get there, and if it wasn't the way that you wanted it, if you didn't get there the way you wanted to get there, or sometimes you do, and it just doesn't feel right, just something feels off, and it's because of the things that we're going to talk about here. So this whole training is going to revolve around you can feel what you should and want to be doing, and cutting out things that give you, for lack of a better term, give you the ick. And so this is a result of being misaligned with yourself and your business. So, and this is a touchy, there's a very fine line to this. And I know you know what I'm talking about. There's a difference between doing things that are hard and it's just kind of uncomfortable in the moment, but it's putting you on a path to greater things. An example is, when I was broke, I had to knock doors. Knocking doors sucks. It's not the most fun thing in the world if you've done it. You need to make money. But, sometimes that's what you got to do. And there's a difference between doing that, but between working a soul-sucking 9 to 5, right? Like, I remember I had some jobs where I was stocking shelves. I'd have to get to the store at like 5 a.m. I'd be stocking shelves, and it just felt like crap. I remember just feeling like I was stressed and I wasn't happy, and I was looking around at all the other people, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I just wasn't in alignment. I knew I could do better things. My soul knew it. I knew it deep down. It wasn't something that I was consciously thinking about because when you talk to people, you're like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And people are always going to be like, oh, that's cool. Or you're going to college. And for me, college was another thing. It was another thing where I was like told to do this. And it was something that I didn't really choose it for myself. I just kind of went there and just kind of did what other people wanted me to do. Right. And so all this baggage and stuff, all these things build up. A lot of it is by not following your own inner purpose, your own mission in life. And the thing that really clicked for me is, like, honestly, reading the Bible a lot more and reading, like, the kingdom of God is already within you. And so for me, learning that the kingdom of God is already within you, you are already a perfect being. You don't need to put some fucking label on this. You don't need to be like, oh yeah, I run this business, I do that, I run a home service business. You don't have to put any labels on anything. You can literally just do you. You can just live your life. And so back to the path you are on, what you're willing to do to get there, there's going to be so many different tasks that you are going to be afraid to do, but you have to do it. And if you are trying to climb a mountain and you know that this is the mountain that you need to climb, you're going to do whatever it takes to get there, right? But if like going back to the 9 to 5 example, it doesn't really make sense to grind it out for 40 years when there's no benefit to it. There's literally no end in sight, and you know it. You literally can feel it deep down. It almost made me sick back in the day. You'd have to wake up, your alarm goes off, and you're just like, fuck, I have to go sit in traffic. I have to do this. I have to listen to someone that I don't respect. And people become it creates a lot of problems, right? And so there's no payoff to doing things that you don't want to do and things that are not aligned with your mission and purpose. And we're going to be touching on that a lot, mission and purpose in life. And again, we don't need to put any labels on this. We don't need to be like, oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. I'm going to kind of get into my story a little bit as we kind of go on. I'm just kind of jump around and just, let this, as you guys can tell, I'm just kind of flowing. I'm just kind of no real, like, these words are just coming in. It's just flowing out of me. And so this is what we're going to talk about, how to get into flow state, how to flow, how to get your energy, yourself, and your soul in alignment. Down here, we have, the chakras and stuff. I don't really know much about chakras, but the whole point is energy is flowing. And so back to this, we already kind of the payoff of your soul and gut with your job. So this is why you see so many people in the world. This is why Americans in particular, like if you go around to other countries, like I've spent time in Mexico, South America, Thailand, Europe, most other people in other countries you see them, they're so happy. They're smiling. They're fit, they're skinny. Maybe they're not making that much money on paper, but they're happy, they're aligned, they're fulfilled in life. You see Americans, we're one of the most obese, sick, depressed countries in the entire world, yet on paper we make the most money. We're the richest country. But what does riches even mean if you are fat, sick, divorced, you don't have good relationships, you're unhappy? What is all the money in the world going to do? You're going to buy another car, you're going to buy another fucking watch. Like none of that shit is going to make you happy. And this is the core of it. So people are trying to drown out the voice inside of you and voice inside of them that knows what you want. Like you're watching this right now, I know you know what you want. Anything in your life that just kind of feels wrong, like maybe it's a relationship, maybe you're with the wrong person, and you can't quite articulate it. You don't really know. You can't like, oh, maybe on paper this person is the right person for you, but you just don't like them. And maybe societally they're not going to look how a certain way. And so, again, no labels. Don't put any labels on this stuff. Don't be like, oh, I want this type of woman. I want this type of job. I want to make this money a certain way. So, and going back to this doesn't have to be home service business. This is the business that I chose and the business that personally aligns with me because, back to... We can just skip ahead to my story a little bit more. When I first started my business, I was knocking doors. I was offering pressure washing services. But we kind of got to get into the energy part. So let me just skip back. So let me just read this kind of as I wrote it. So for home service, I kind of stumbled into it because it was the first business that really clicked with me. I'd worked a lot of bullshit jobs. I've done all sorts of stuff. I've been doing, and then I kind of was onto my own entrepreneurship journey. I was doing, drop shipping, affiliate marketing. I even started YouTube in the past and didn't quite work out. Fitness coaching, and had 9-to-5s, worked in the government with the Navy and such. And it just, having an alarm clock and anywhere I needed to be just felt wrong. Like time as a concept just doesn't click with me even to this day. Like I do not have really any set meetings. I literally have like one meeting per week with my guys in my group. And that's something that even there, I'm like usually like I have my camera off and I'm walking around. I'm like just doing things. I'm just moving. I'm in flow. I hate sitting down. Even this is kind of a rare like time when I'm just sitting and being able to talk, but I'm moving my hands. I got my coffee and I'm just like, just vibing, So for me, that's what I needed. I needed to be able to have no alarm clock, and home services allowed me to do this. When you have a great business and when you provide a great service, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of like being a hot chick at the bar is kind of like is a good example. You can do whatever you want. Like when you have a great service that people want to hire you, you can show up when you want. You can charge as much money as you want. You can do as many jobs per week as you want. I remember when I first started and I was dead broke. I was sleeping in my car and all this stuff, but I was happy. I would drive to a job. Like I knew I had a job like down south, and so I would just drive an hour, sleep in that neighborhood, like in my car. This wasn't for a very long time. I was able to make enough money to get a place because you don't need that many jobs when you're making $500 a day per job. You don't need that many of those to afford a house or to rent a place in pretty much any city. Excuse me, in the West or wherever you're making money. And a little side tangent. People will comment on this video or they'll comment on TikToks like, oh well, this type of business would never work where I'm at. I'm in Europe, but I'm in Africa. People don't pay for this. I'm like, well, yeah, no. This type of stuff doesn't work in every place. So, man, that really like goes into this again. Well, let me get back on track. I kind of structured this out. We'll kind of talk about that. So, but everything is energy, and this is like the main point of this video is everything is energy, and it needs to flow back to the body. The energy flows, and this is, you can literally see it. You can see when people aren't happy, when they're misaligned. They get hunched over, they get overweight, maybe they have alcohol problems, they have mental health issues, and it's because the energy is not flowing with them. I know this is going to get like, this may be more transcendental than many of you guys were expecting, but this is something that you can flow, and this is the most important conversation that you can have in your life, is what in your life right now is causing you to not be in flow state. We need to get the energy flowing. It's blocked. This is, you can see someone who's aligned, they're happy, good health, good family, money is flowing. And you can see it. You can see someone who's just bubbling up with energy. They're not worried about anything. They're happy. Maybe they have a lot of money. Maybe they have abundance. They have houses, they have cars. They're super happy. But then you also see many other people who maybe they have certain things, but they're not happy. And it almost always you can tell in someone's, the way they look, their physiognomy, like how their face, how their body looks, and all the stress kind of accumulates. Stress, that is literally just blocked energy, if you will. So I'm not a doctor. I don't know any of this stuff. It's not any sort of diagnosis, but this is just, you can see it with your own eyes when you look around, especially in America, and especially in countries that, they make a lot of money on paper, but if they're not happy doing it, doesn't really matter. So same thing with business, relationships, health. It's all an energy flow. It's a mirror of who you are, your relationships, your business, your health. It's a mirror of who you are inside, and it's a reflection on the energy, because as we mentioned, you are someone's knocking. You are perfect already as you are, as long as you allow the energy to flow. I kind of mentioned this deep down, a little bit further. You are unique. Your DNA has never existed before and will never exist again. So by definition, you are already you are a divine being. And so this is really important, why you need to be doing things that you like to do and getting more in alignment with your business. So we talked about relationships, health, and back to home services. This is also why I love home service or really any business. You could just extrapolate this to anything that you do that you like to do. It's more efficient, right? Like if you go to a 9-to-5 job, you got to drive there, you got to sit in an hour of traffic, you got to listen to a boss for 8 hours, and you're really not doing much work. If you've ever worked a standard job, you know what I'm talking about. Every employee is lazy. They're not doing anything really that they should be doing. They're doing like maybe an hour of work a day. If you watch like the movie Office Space, he's like, on a real work day, I only do maybe 15 minutes of work. And it's just super inefficient. And you and your body and your soul knows it. It knows that it's inefficient, and you know that you're wasting your potential. That's why it feels so off. And it's just, the energy it's not there. So, and business is there, in why it's in quotation marks. And we kind of mentioned this with going back to other countries and such. If you travel to another place, people don't really necessarily think of like business as like, oh, I need to do this business, I need this LLC, I need all this stuff. People just do things. They in other countries, they just exist. They sell cilantro. Some guy sells chickens. Another guy sharpens knives. They don't really have, and they started to have a little more labels. Like you see people's last names even to this day: Carpenter, Smith, Miller, all these things. That was their job title. And nowadays, people just get like you go, if you go on like LinkedIn, everyone's just like obsessed with your job title. And I just fundamentally just do not like it, because that's not how the human experience works. Like we are constantly moving. We're constantly in flow. If you are in this energetic state, you're allowing it to flow with you. And so, home services are great because you can do whatever service you want. And so now when we're talking about flow and currency and money and such, notice the language when we speak about money, water, energy, the current, flow, liquid. It never stays still and always has to go somewhere. So for you yourself, you need to put yourself in a position to receive it. So when I look back to my story, when I first started knocking doors, even though it sucked, and I didn't like doing it. So that's why I got really good at digital marketing. I'm able to just post Facebook ads, build a website, and get leads coming to me. I don't have to do anything for it. I just put out the advertisement on the digital space, and leads come to me. And so that is something that I really like to do. Some people really like to go door to door. So literally, like I said, whatever you want to do, whatever it is that you like to do. But I noticed that pressure washing wasn't really hitting. It just wasn't selling as well. And so people kept asking for roofs and gutters. And so that is where the current and the energy was flowing in my market, was towards roofs and gutters. So I went over there and I made a lot of money. That's the most money I'd ever made, was when I started doing only roofs and gutters, just focusing on one thing and just allowing that to flow. It was a perfect alignment, right? And so then, then I started to share my journey, and people also tuned in and wanted the same. They're like, okay, I also don't like knocking doors. I want to be able to do the digital marketing side. Cool. So that's what, I have a ton of other videos on that. But I could use that knowledge and experience to guide others down the same path, and also to the paths beyond, because, like we said, home service is a great business, but it's just one step on your journey up the mountain, up your life. This is the path to getting on your own freedom journey, right? Like if you're in a 9-to-5, and for me, I'm always a proponent of just quitting your 9-to-5, quitting your job, because it's blocking you, it's blocking yourself, it's blocking your soul, and you really can't think that much. I know people say like, oh, if you're working a 9-to-5, you still have time 5 to 9 to work. And it's like, for me, that was never really true. If I'm working a job that I don't want to be doing, I'm just so blocked. I don't have any energy the rest of the day, right? Like it's all constrained, right? And so I literally couldn't make any other businesses happen when I was working. So I am the type of person that needed to just quit everything and start my own thing, completely do my own thing. And that's what worked for me, just jumping off the cliff, starting the business. And guess what? It all works out. Like everything just comes to you when you are in this good state, when you are aligned, when you are fully on your mission and purpose. Things just happen. It's kind of the weirdest thing. And if you've run your own business, you know what I'm talking about. Jobs will just pop up. Customers will call. Things will just pop in your lap. A customer will be like, hey, I got 5 other houses. Then boom, you're booked up for the week. And, especially once you have once you have employees, like things get a little more complicated. There's a little more stress. But as long as you trust in your business and in your abilities, that things are all going to work out. And if you believe in God, that, everything's going to work out, it always does. And so starting down the path of alignment, it doesn't need to be roofs or gutters or really any sort of particular service. We got people doing chimney cleaning, solar panels, car detailing, plumbing, HVAC, literally whatever it is that you like to do, and wherever the energy in your market is flowing. So that's the alignment that we're talking about. So, and if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, well, actually, I want to do Facebook ads for businesses. I want to run an agency. I want to do SEO for people. Awesome. Do whatever it is that you feel the energy flowing and that you are called to do. You are called to do it. And it's something that it's inside you. No one can tell you what it is. Even your brain might not be able to put words on it, because it comes from your gut. Your gut has more neurons than your actual brain. Your gut has the most neurons in your entire body, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it all comes from your gut. It comes from you. So, and this is also like side note, this is why some people will copy my exact business. They'll copy my ads word for word. It doesn't work for them. It doesn't work. Their market is different. They themselves are different. They're a different person. It's nothing. There's no step-by-step plan. Like I said, you are unique. Your DNA is unique. You got to do things your own way. There's no right or wrong answer to this crazy thing called life. It's all about what you want to do your way. Your energy flow is just going to be different than mine, different than your mom's, your parents, your friends. It is quite literally unique. So I know I beat that dead horse. So, and this is why people who aren't really happy or fulfilled is because they're trying to live by someone else's roadmap. Maybe their parents wanted them to be a doctor. They wanted them to go to college, or they wanted them to do this. And you just see this. People who are, misery loves company. It's that old saying. People who also aren't aligned don't really want you to be aligned. And it's not necessarily that they don't want you to be, it's that they themselves don't even know. They don't even know that that they're giving you the wrong fucking advice, and that's not the way you want to live your life. No one really knows this stuff. No one really talks about this stuff, because everyone else is just kind of stuck doing what they're told to do, and they're not aligned themselves, right? So, and then one of the worst things is maybe it even works. Maybe you are a doctor. Maybe you're a lawyer. Maybe you're making good money. I've seen this. Like, one of my best friends in the world went to law school, went to be a lawyer. And guess what? When he got out, he's like, fuck, I actually don't want to be a lawyer. Like, this is terrible. And he just wasted all this money, wasted all this time, because this is what he was supposed to do, right? But he's not aligned with it. He doesn't want to do it. And you see this a lot. You'll see, like, a lot of Peter Thiel, Mike Cernovich, there's a lot of other guys who, using law as an example, people become lawyers and like, wow, this fucking sucks. So they immediately go and do something else. It's pretty funny. But it all comes from not listening to yourself, not listening to your gut in the first place. Like, you already know what it is you want to do, not consciously, remember. And there's no labels to this. So, but maybe it even works and you are making money. And this is an example from my life. I used to sell my own like advertising and more advanced like high ticket coaching, all this stuff. I was doing tons of sales calls, meetings, and fulfillment for people's businesses, and I just didn't feel aligned. Now we have a much better business where it's way more streamlined. I have a team that fulfills everything for me. I don't do any of the sales calls. I don't do any of that stuff. We don't even do sales calls. We just have people that want to work with us come to us. They can, click in the description down below if they want to work with us. People come to us, and it's such a better alignment with just the way that I work. And I've seen people, because even myself, I was doing all that stuff. Yeah, I made $40,000 in a month at a time, and that was just online. That's not even including my other businesses. So I was making good money, but I wasn't doing it my way. The flow was off, and so I still wasn't happy. And I remember that the month that I made that much money, I was like, fuck, now I have to do this again next month. And I just felt so defeated, so drained. And so now I sometimes make less money than that. There's some months we do really well with all the businesses. We make more, but I'm fully aligned with my purpose and mission, and I could not be happier or more fulfilled. It's all about listening to yourself and not giving a single fuck about what anyone thinks or cares about, because guess what? Those people are not happy anyways. Like you mentioned, I've seen and I've been in many high-level masterminds where people have the Lambos, they got the watches and all that stuff, but guess what? They're selling their soul, so that money is tainted. And this is kind of a very meta point that I'll make. You see this, like karmic debt is real. When people are doing like, OnlyFans money, they're scamming people on crypto, they're doing all this bullshit that's not right. You can see it plays out a lot of the times in their personal life. People who are on paper really rich, they're miserable. They want to buy more cars and all this stuff, and they're trying to fill this void inside them because they're not doing what makes them happy. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you aren't happy doing it. Like that's the whole point of this entire video. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you aren't happy. Right now, any of us watching this video, if you speak English, you could go to most any other country in the world. You can move to fucking Bali or Panama or Mexico. You could live comfortably for $1,000 to $2,000 a month. You don't need that much money to live anywhere on the planet. And you could do that right now. But the reason you don't is because you're taught that, we need this, I need to make this money, do this and that. But people aren't happy. But you don't need to do all this stuff. You can literally do whatever the frick you want. So, and back on this point too, you'll notice people who are on paper, they're billionaires, but maybe they're like in big pharma or something, or they're a politician, and they have to donate their money to charity, right? And I've always thought of that as kind of weird, because if they're such a good person, they always do that to philanthropy. They're trying to make themselves feel good, when in reality that money is like we said, it's tainted. It doesn't feel good. When you make $1 doing something that you love doing and that you want to do, it feels amazing. Versus you can make $1,000 doing something you didn't want to do, and you sold your soul a little bit. That money, it doesn't feel good. It's not good anymore. And so it's just like I said, it's all about alignment. If the money that comes to you isn't aligned, that money it doesn't matter how much money you make, right? So get it? Yeah, wrote that down. So, and the flip side kind of went down a little bit there, is you can have everything you want. There is nothing but abundance on this earth, pure infinite abundance. Everything we have, think about this for a second, everything we have comes from the sun. Our planet rotates around this, and there's more energy that passes out of the sun in 1 minute that could power humanity for over 1,000 years. Think 1 minute for over 1,000 years. And the sun is just one single star. There are literally infinite stars, infinite energy in the universe. So when people get caught up in like, oh, I need to make this money, they're focused on the lack that they have. They're focused on the things that they don't have. And this is what constrains you. The second you break out of that mentality, you're like, wow, there's infinite. I can breathe air. I can get the light, the sunlight outside. All the things that you need on this earth are free. You don't need anything. You can go to the creek and get water. You can go cut down trees and build your own house. We've just been lied to. We've been told that we need all these things to make us happy by other people who aren't happy, right? So this is the whole point. Get out of that trap, get out of that mentality. And you can live in the matrix. You can live over here. And I don't like to use that word very much because it's kind of tacky, like, oh, you're living in the matrix. But I would really just call that people who aren't fulfilled and aren't happy with their lives, because you can make unlimited money. You can make as much money as you want. You can be happy with your relationships, with your health. There's nothing but abundance, because everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. Me moving right now, me talking, like this is just, it's just wavelengths. This is vibration, all that sort of stuff, you know? So you and me are here. We get to experience this as humanity is on its a journey to a higher state of consciousness. This is kind of an interesting point that I read in a book a while ago, and it was like, what is the meaning of life and what is the purpose? And he was saying that we are all evolving towards a more complex state of the universe. We're becoming into a higher state of consciousness. Maybe, this is something I don't even fully understand yet, and we'll maybe make a different video on this. But you see this. I mean, we humans, we start off in freaking caves. We started riding horses, shooting bows and arrows. Now we have quantum computers and stuff. We are just getting more evolved, more complex, a higher state of consciousness. And the more people that wake up to this, the more people that make content like this and watch videos like this and are in flow, the more people that are going to start waking up, the more people that are going to be aligned and fulfilled, and the more beautiful, amazing things that are going to come into this world. So it all starts by becoming aligned in yourself. So whether this is starting a home service business or doing your own business, whatever the fuck it is, do it and be aligned. And you can feel this. Follow that as your guide. It's literally as simple as that. Do the things that make you feel good and do good. And I know it sounds simple, but it definitely isn't easy. Like sometimes there's some really difficult conversations that you need to have, maybe with certain people, with even people that you love, that you're dating, that you're friends with, and or with your life. Maybe you need to move to a different city. Maybe you need to start a completely new business. Maybe you need to get out of the country. Like there's so many different things that you know and that you're being called to do that can be very, very hard to do. And you see this in the story with Jonah in the Bible. God calls Jonah to go preach in Nineveh. And so much of the Bible it's metaphors, right? It's just stories of like people that weren't aligned and weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And so Jonah was like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm afraid. And so God punished him by having a whale or a giant fish swallow him. And so this could be, you could look at this literally like, oh yeah, a giant fish swallowed him and, you know, he was punished for that. But, or you could look at this as like more of a metaphor into life. Like if you are not doing what you're doing, if you're not going the places you're supposed to go that you are called to do, life is going to swallow you up and it's never going to spit you out. So that is a good way to end this video. And, you know, like I said, this is taking me years to get to this mental, physical, and spiritual state. But, and I still have so much farther to go. This is a lifelong journey. We're not here that long on this freaking planet, but it is my ultimate excitement to keep going and share this with you and bring you along as well. So with that being said, let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns. Leave it down below. Obviously, if you guys want to join the group or if you need any help with your home service business, we can absolutely do that. But much love. God bless you there. Peace.